and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, with the four-leaf clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football.
Good evening, gentlemen. How we doing?
All good, Scotty. Yep.
Good,
Andy,
mate. Fabulous Friday, mate. That's my favourite day of the week. Get out that truck, enjoy the weekend, and Celtic playing at the weekend. I know you can't beat it.
Aye, it's been a good couple of days, Paddy, innit? After our heroics in Italy on Wednesday night, it's been a good couple of days for Scottish football as well. Really, in Europe, normally we get a bit of a pasting ourselves and the other teams, but it's been a good week all round. So positivity everywhere.
Definitely, we've restored a wee bit of pride certainly in the Scottish game. We've restored a wee bit of pride. Good performances all round. So nice to see. So it's been a good week. Disappointed sort of last Saturday against Aberdeen, but then we got a wee lift on Sunday, and then a superb lift then on against Atalanta. So it's been a good week.
It certainly has. And just let's get started. The first comment there that I seen was from Street Shitter about Tommy Callaghan. And yes, there was some sad news today came out of the club. Tommy Callaghan, another legend gone, lads. Unfortunately, he passed this morning. And Celtic put out a statement. I'll get that out for you now, ladies and gentlemen. So everyone at Celtic Park was saddened to hear that former player Tommy Callaghan passed away early this morning at the age of 79. Cowden Beef born Tommy signed for Celtic from Dunfermline Athletic in November 1968, and in doing so made history in being signed by Jock Stein twice, as it was Stein who had also signed Tommy for the Fife team in 1962. So not a bad accolade there. The only man to be signed twice by the great Jock Stein. Midfielder Tommy made an immediate impact on his debut by scoring against Partick Thistle at Firhill. That was the first of his 34 goals in 264 games that he played for Celtic between then and joining Clydebank in 1976. Over Tommy's time in the hoops, Celtic lifted 6 league titles, 5 Scottish Cups and 3 League Cups. His heart was always at Celtic Park, and he was still a regular at every game as a matchday host with the club. The thoughts and prayers of everyone at Celtic Football Club and the Four Leaf Clover podcast, and the viewers as well, I'm sure, are with Tommy's friends and family at this sad time. Andy, very sad news coming out of the club this morning. Another legend gone, mate.
Aye, mate, it's all sad to hear. Bit before my time to really remember him, but obviously you know of him for people talking and looking back in the club's history. And unfortunately, when they start getting to that kind of age, we start to lose a lot of the ex-players, don't we? It's very sad to hear that, mate.
Aye, and Paddy, just a sad day for Celtic, a sad day at the club. And I used to see him as well when I briefly lived in Scotland and saw him at Celtic Park at the match days and stuff. And by all accounts, a gentleman. I believe you met him yourself a couple of times.
We did, Scotty, and it's just very, very sad. So I just want to add my condolences and the rest of the guys to Tommy and his family. Just an absolute lovely gentleman, soft-spoken gentleman, but a very, very proud Irishman. Very, very proud of his roots and proud of that path trodden from Ireland to Scotland and to Glasgow to play for Celtic. Just so proud of that. So just an achievement for him. We were fortunate to have met him a couple of times at supporters' dues, a few years ago, and just such a lovely, lovely, warm gentleman. Time for everybody. Had the odd wee story and stuff here and there, about his past and stuff and time with Celtic and stuff, but just a lovely gentleman and just another
Yeah, and I believe he was over your way at Galway as well, wasn't he? Was it Galway?
He was at one time, yeah.
I think he managed them as well. So, yes, God bless you, Tommy, and thoughts go out to family and friends if any of them are watching this evening. I think he had a bit of patter about him as well. I seen a quote today that he was signed by Jock Stein to improve the Lisbon Lions, which gave me a wee bit of a chuckle. And like I said, it's devastating news for there he is there with his league winners' medals. And he did say as well that when I got the call, I nearly ran across the Kincardine Bridge to sign for Celtic. So that's how much he thought of the club. So, yeah, from everybody at the Four Leaf Clover podcast, rest in peace, sir. So, a wee bit of breaking news coming out of the club as well today. Well, not out of the club, but more social media, Andy. Potentially, Lamine Yamal, when his contract ends at Barcelona, apparently he's signing for Celtic, according to his dad anyway. Look at his dad, looking all handsome there. And all these Clover. It came out today, mate, on social media. I think it went into meltdown. Barcelona wonderkid, Lamine Yamal's dad, Munir, dressed there in his Celtic Clover, Andy. Great to see.
Brilliant to see, mate. And there's no reason why we can't get him before his contract runs out, We're absolutely loaded, so you never know. It could happen. His dad might push the deal through. You never know.
I think there's a court case going on at the minute where they're going to scrap transfer fees, potentially. So we might get him then. We can give him a tenner a week, Paddy, and maybe get him out of Celtic.
Get him in before his value goes up too much. We can get him in now while the going's good. So it's good quality player, and he's brilliant to see the dad there. His dad's just loving life, obviously. In the Celtic gear, it's just great to see. Brilliant.
I don't know if that's a tracksuit or jammies, Andy. Is it actually a tracksuit? I've not seen it.
It looks like a trackie. It's part of that new range stuff brought out, the kind of retro range in it. But it looks as if he's well relaxed enough for it to be jammies right enough. He's obviously very comfortable with the Celtic gear on, and it looks $1 million, so he does. Almost looks as good as me.
He certainly does, Andy. He certainly does. So let's get to Wednesday night. We had a small Champions League tie over in Atalanta to get through, and we did cover it on the post-match, Andy, beautifully on Wednesday night. We had a full plethora of our panel on. We're missing our Jerry at the minute, whose laptop charger has went a bit Pete Tong, I believe, and he's running down to Asda's and addressing to get a new one, so hopefully he'll jump on with his Andy at some point. But
I don't think that's true, Scotty. I think he's having his own. I think Jerry has decided to go to the bingo tonight, and he's just making that story up.
Aye, potentially, mate. Potentially. Likes a bit of bingo, Jerry. So Wednesday night, Atalanta, mate. Brendan Rodgers fooled everybody, Andy. He fooled everybody with his tactics. He fooled everybody with his starting lineup. And listen, what a heroic performance for the boys, eh?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about it. I was thinking the last Champions League game before that, we were absolutely embarrassed as fans and as players, absolutely embarrassed. And then you're going for that aspect to the next game you play in the Champions League, you're absolutely full of pride. And the players are actually physically exhausted. They've put in that much of a shift. And it just shows you that the determination in the players to not let that happen again. And I think a lot of people were kind of thinking it was backs to the wall the whole game, and it wasn't quite like that. I mean, we had our moments as well, so we've got to kind of look at it from that point of view as well, that we weren't totally negative. But what we done was we were so organised as defending as a team, And I think that the sheer determination, I think, was the fans were absolutely delighted. People outside of the Scottish game will no realise how much that point means to us, because our recent record in the Champions League and Europe in general has been pretty poor away from home, really poor and embarrassing at times. That this is, and especially against an Atalanta team who are on fire. I know they're no historically a great European team, but they've come up in recent times, and they're a very good team, and I think we done brilliant to come away for there with a point, because even before the Dortmund game, I was thinking we're never coming away for Atalanta with anything. We're going to get beaten. Absolutely thought that. And then even after the Dortmund game, I thought, well, we've no chance. It's Atalanta's. They might not exactly do the same as what Dortmund done, but they're going to give us a scalping. Well, fair play to the players and Brendan for changing it up, changing the whole outlook there with the team. And it wasn't a great game to watch, mate. I was sitting there shiting myself. But at the end of the game, I was so proud and so happy that we got a point out of that, because it's a bonus point as far as I'm concerned.
It certainly is. And Paddy, smell the glove, has said that point could be crucial. Absolutely, mate. And I seen a coefficient. There's a coefficient page on Twitter, Paddy, that I seen, and it's saying that we only need 2 victories now. I say only needs, but we've got 5 games to go in this league. And 2 victories will see us through to that playoff, mate. So we're in a fantastic position, especially now with 2 home games coming up. But just going back to Wednesday night, Paddy, what a performance for the boys there.
Absolutely outstanding. Didn't see it coming, to be honest. We all feared the worst after what happened, and it shows you if the results in this Champions League so far we're going to go with these here. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. So you had the high of Bratislava to the depths of despair against Dortmund, and then the joy again on Wednesday night. So it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. But just we got exactly what we deserved. We deserved something out of the game. Definitely, I said it on Wednesday night. We could probably maybe even have nicked it towards the end. I know Atalanta could say the same. I think we come in for a bit of harsh criticism. I think Andy's mate, that guy, was it Pasalic, Andy, the guy we were talking about on Wednesday night? Yep. He had a bit today somewhere where he said that the reason they didn't beat Celtic was because of Schmeichel, which I thought was a bit unfair. Schmeichel did what he had to do, but it certainly wasn't a one-man performance or the goalkeeper having an absolute blinder or whatever. The team from front to back carried out the instructions, Brendan's instructions, to the letter. And again, we didn't. At no time did we play like a team who have completely abandoned the philosophy that we go by in our attack and football. Not at all. We were just disciplined. We were organised. We were compact. We were tough to break down. And we had that threat on the break. We absolutely had that threat on the break. And that's what we said. So it's not to say that we got 10 men behind the ball and said, right, we're just sitting in here. Not a bit of it, and that's what it is. That's what you need to do sometimes. These guys, we've said before, we talked about Engels at 11 million. Like these guys you're playing against are spending 100 million on one player. So you're going to be going to places where you're going to be facing teams who are going to keep the ball. You're going to be without the ball a lot, and that's where I thought we were absolutely fantastic when we had to drop in to our solid defensive formation. I thought it was just perfect, absolutely perfect. Yeah, we got opened a couple of times in the first half, but we also opened them as well on the break a couple of times. So just a fantastic performance, and I was delighted for the team because they took a lot of stick after Dortmund, and as I say, that can happen. That can happen sometimes. You seen Dortmund the other night leading 2-0 in the Bernabeu, and they concede 5 goals in the second half against Real Madrid. I didn't see any big fuss or fanfare about that. That can happen when you're playing these quality teams. If these guys hit form and have a good night, that can happen. But just delighted for Brendan, delighted for the players, because you saw how much it meant to them, every single player at the end. And what I noticed, as we said on Wednesday night, was the guys coming off the pitch being replaced by the guys going on. You could see the desire in the guys coming off and the guys coming on to basically say, right, keep this going here. We're almost there. Let's get a result here. So it couldn't have gone any better for them. Really, really good. And at least it sends a message now that that we know that we can produce this kind of performance in Europe. I know you don't want to draw 0-0 all the time, but there will be times where you have to say, do you know what, a point might be a decent result there, and then you do the business in your home games and pick up a wee point here or there along the way. But certainly, as Andy and me talked about at the very start, I certainly didn't expect to get in. I thought we might have got something in Dortmund, but I certainly didn't expect to get in against Atalanta. So pleasantly surprised, but just delighted at the same time.
Aye, and Paddy sets me up nicely there, Andy. One of the things he mentioned was the substitutions. Now, Brendan Rodgers hasn't only been slated really for his tactics, especially in that Dortmund game, and rightly so. And he threw as a dummy on Wednesday night by saying he was going to play the same sort of way, and he didn't, which was great to see. But another thing that Paddy mentioned that I thought Brendan Rodgers got spot on Wednesday night was his substitutions. And the guys that came in, Andy, were, it was like for like, and it was like for like this time. They were brilliant when they came on as well, the subs.
Aye, and I think it was really important that he done that, because it was all about fresh legs. It was all about keeping it as it was, because we were doing the job. We were just getting tired. So bringing in the same kind of players, but just fresh legs, really, really helped that situation. To be fair to Brendan, I think Brendan's got a good history of making changes, that the bringing subs on that day, make changes in games. He had his last spell at Celtic as well, but he had that in him to bring a player on that is going to change a game or keep a game as you want it to go, depending on who you need at that time. He's very clued up when it comes to stuff. I think a lot of people in the press, and I can understand why he's getting fed up with the press asking him the same questions about the way he's playing and all that. He's not a novice. He's been doing this a very long time. He's a very experienced manager. And no matter what people think about him, whether they dislike him or like him or love him or hate him, he's a good coach. He's a very good coach. And I think, considering the situation we were in with Ange leaving, to get him back in again was a godsend. It's turned out to be an absolute godsend, because we could have ended up with who knows who, and we could have been anywhere in the league, because there's no guarantee. I think we got lucky getting Ange in, to be quite honest with you. He was laughed at in the first place when he first came in, but getting Brendan back, I think, has worked out very well for us, and it will. And what's he get left in his contract? Is it another two years, something like that?
Yeah,
maybe less than that. And I think he'll be here. And who knows, if things are going well, he might decide to just stay with Celtic. We don't know. But I've changed my tune with him. I've definitely kind of mellowed to the fact of Brendan, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the club matters, results matters, titles matter, trophies, and he's a man to do it.
Aye, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. And there, Chris here. Hi, boys. Are you on Spotify yet? Chris, well, no. We're just a brand new podcast, really, mate. And we are going to expand into Spotify and look at other sort of things to do with the podcast as well. We're very, very
new. It's on YouTube and just listen.
I just get it on YouTube. What are you talking about Spotify? We're not that advanced. No, we will get to that level at some point, mate. So look out for that. But only on YouTube at the minute, but we will be getting there in the future. Paddy, I think another thing as well that we seen on Wednesday night was that we ground them into the ground as well. It was when they're taking the top goal scorer in Serie A off and then Lookman off as well. They knew that the game was a bogey, and they could still be there, the no score. Scales and Trusty were colossal in the middle of that defence, and every single ball they flung in there, Trusty was getting to it, Scales was getting to it. The two of them were unbelievable, mate, weren't they?
Absolutely fantastic, the pair of them. It was hard. If I had to pick one, I probably would have gone with Trusty, but they were just, as a pair, they were fantastic. And this is what I'm saying, the team, what happened in Dortmund was we got our press completely all wrong. There was players on the right-hand side were pressing when the guys on the left weren't, and vice versa. And then the defenders were having to push out to cover the gaps in the middle of the field, and that's what happened, So it was just an absolutely I don't know, breathtaking from the both of them. Just fantastic. Really, really good from the two of them. Organised. The physicality that they showed as well. The bravery on the ball. They were throwing some balls into the box. I think somebody said they threw 49 crosses into the box in the game. They were throwing balls in. There was a couple of big lads there too. They had also your guy Pasalic coming in from deep, which was very, very hard to pick up. But Scales and Trusty just, this is what I said to you on Wednesday night. They had this attitude that they shall not pass. And into the second half, then you could see Lookman getting frustrated. You could see the other guy getting frustrated. And they took them off because they just realised, listen, we could probably play here for another hour and a half here, and we're not going to break through these guys. So fantastic defensive performance, but again, just to touch again on Brendan and the substitutions again. The manager can only do so much. You can set up your team, but you still need your players to go out and carry out the instructions and play the way we've set up. And we didn't do that in Germany. Against Dortmund, there was too many guys way off the pace, and Brendan kind of hung out to dry. It wasn't so much the manager's doing. It wasn't really tactics. Now we can see that really wasn't so much tactics. We were just terrible on the night, and we made so many individual mistakes in around the edge of our own box, but giving the ball away. But Wednesday night was just an absolute clinic on how to do away from home in a difficult European venue. And that the important thing is now that we learn from what we did, see that we can do it, and try and carry it forward into the next ones. We will have another. We have to go to Aston Villa. We have to go to Zagreb. Those will be two very, very tough venues as well. But they'll not be any tougher than what we had the other night. So we've shown now that we can do it. We've set the standard. That's the bar that the players have to reach. And again, as you said, the likes of James Forrest coming on, Palma coming on, the other guys who came on the other night, they can see the effort that's required when they see the guys coming dripping in sweat off the field. Nicholas Kuhn was absolutely saturated. So the guys coming on can see what they're having to put into the game in order to get a result, and it's just great to see because those guys come on and ran their socks off as well. Even Palma, who sometimes gets a bit of stick, so just great to see. Fantastic performance, and I was just delighted for Brendan and delighted for the team because they took a lot of stick recently. So it's nice to give them one in the eye.
Yeah, and one of the things that you said there, mate, sticks out for me. The standard has been set. That's it, and it has been set, and that's the sort of levels that the players have to get up to. That's the sort of levels the subs have to get up to as well when they come onto the pitch. There's no mucking about, taking 5-10 minutes to get into a game. You need to get right into it. And Dougie Cool there, that's the guy I went to Seville with. Me and Dougie went to Seville and had a week in Torremolinos that shall not be mentioned on this show. What happens in Torremolinos stays in Torremolinos. And his comment earlier made me laugh, lads, when you're launching on Bebo for us all gets. We can relaunch it, mate, and call it the Bebo. We'll get it sorted. There's a business idea in there somewhere, Dougie, but good to see you in the comments, mate, as ever. So one of the things I want to have a look at as well then, lads, just before we wrap up this Champions League little segment, is our fixture schedule. So the next time we're out is against Leipzig at home on our Jerry's birthday. Fireworks night, and hopefully there's no fireworks inside the stadium, lads, and they're kept outside and we don't get any bans and stuff like that. But 2 home games coming up in November, 2 tough games, Leipzig and Club Brugge. So Andy, just a quick one on those 2 games. How do you see them going, and what are you hoping for realistically out of those 2 home games?
I think you can win them. I really do. Leipzig's a very good team. They've had an absolute shocking tournament so far. And I know a lot of people saying, they're going to come here and get the win because they need it. But every team is going to come and try and get the win. It's the Champions League. I think we are, especially at home, very confident. I think we're doing very well with the points as it is. Points to game ratio is very good for us. Certainly for us in the Champions League. I'd like we can ask for any more. I'm really looking forward to them. Get a ticket for the Leipzig game. Get a ticket for the Bruges game. So I can't wait to the games come up. I think the stadium is going to be absolutely bouncing because feel-good factor is going to be there, and I think the crowd is going to lead the team over the line to get the victory in both A games. I really fancy us in both A games.
Aye, I'm with Andy, Paddy. I fancy us big time against MD at Celtic Park. And Leipzig have had a shocker, so they're coming there a bit deflated, and it's going to be the same for some of their players. They'll not have played in an atmosphere like Celtic Park, mate, and hopefully they get the shiters put right up them before they get the ball's even kicked off. And I'm pretty confident, mate. We can take minimum 4 points out of the 2 home ties. Yourself?
Aye, just the same as you two. The way I'm looking at it is I'm not even so much looking. I'm looking at the next 3. So with the next 3 out of 4 at home. We've 3 out of 4 at home. That's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, we've got 2 coming up, but we've got 3 out of 4. So we've got a brilliant chance to get, as they say, if we need the 6 points, we've got an opportunity here to get the 6 points at Celtic Park. Let the away games take care of themselves. But these next 2 games, definitely, the standard of opposition, you have to give them credit and you have to give them respect. But with all due respect, they're not a Barcelona, they're not a Real Madrid, they're not an Inter Milan. They're decent enough teams, but for us at Celtic Park, those 2 opponents should be definitely teams that we should be looking to take points from. As Andy said, that's the other thing about the draw. It was only a draw, but it was a point. But the difference that will make to the Celtic fans going to the next game at Celtic Park, the place will be absolutely jumping because they know that we've given ourselves a chance to make some progress in this competition. So that's the fans are going to just be right up for that. So it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. Leipzig have lost a couple. I think they've lost the guy Siemens. Is it Siemens you call the guy? One of their, I think he'll be Dutch guy. I think he's going to be out for a while. I think he's picked up an injury. So that's a blow for them, and they've had a bit of a nightmare in the tournament. So, but they're still a quality team with quality players. So we'll need to be on our game. But again, if we get an atmosphere anywhere close to the Bratislava game, and the players respond the way they did that night, there's absolutely no reason why we can't get the points there again. And as I say, we could hopefully be looking at, maybe getting the 6 points that we need from these next 2 home games, and certainly the next 3 out of a 4. Zagreb are going to be a funny one. It's going to be, they're one of these teams you don't really know much about them, and they seem to be hit and miss. But as I say, we said at the start, if we could make Celtic Park a fortress again, and then pick something up along the way away from home, you're going to give yourself a shout. So definitely looking forward to them. I can't wait for them. They're going to be fantastic games. I was at the Bratislava game and the atmosphere was just off the scale. And this point that we got against Atalanta the other night is just going to have everybody absolutely champing at the bit to get to that one. The stadium's just going to be rocking. So I hope Leipzig are ready.
Aye, we're in a fantastic position, lads. 4 points, would be amazing, really, I think, going forward. But 6 points, it gets us through. 100% gets us through. And that would be with 3 games to play, unbelievably. With one of them young boys, so we should be taking 3 points against them as well. So, aye, the future's looking good. And looking forward to the 2 games.
Just touching on that wee Simons, he was coming through at Barcelona, wasn't he, when Dembele was coming through at Celtic, young Dembele. I'm pretty sure they were getting linked to each other, the best young players at the time.
Yeah,
and I'm sure is that the same player? He was at Barcelona when he was.
I'm not entirely sure on it. I only what I remember of him was just seeing him in the European Championships there, just gone by. That's when I sort of took notice of him.
I'm pretty sure it's the same boy. Very talented. If it's the same guy who was with Barcelona, and it just so happens Dembele was coming through at Celtic, and I minded watching something about the best young talent that came through, and Dembele was in there with this boy.
Yeah. Aye. Let us know in the comments, lads, if you know anything about that, the young lad Siemens. So one of the other things that really impressed me on Wednesday night, as I'm sure it did everybody else, was seeing this man as a pundit at the game. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, lads. The way he spoke, it's very difficult to get MD that's pro-Celtic in the media these days. We've obviously got our Chris Sutton, who gets right in about every day for us, which is great to see. And also, it was good to see Lenny. There we go. It was good to see Lenny and Mialbi in the studio as well, who are obviously very pro-Celtic as well. But I've got a wee clip here. I just want to play it because I just think the way that Joe Hart spoke about Celtic, what happens behind the scenes, stuff like that as well. I just thought he was excellent, and then we'll have a wee chat on him as well, lads. So just got to play this wee clip.
Were you pleased to see Celtic snap up Kasper Schmeichel to fill your gloves, as it were?
Yeah, of course. I know Kasper personally. I go a long way back with him. I think a lot of him as a person, but as a goalkeeper, I really do admire him. His desire and energy to keep going and be at the top like he is. I actually think it was a perfect match. You know, there was obviously negotiations, and you know, there's no getting away from Kasper's age and his longevity in the game. But if you're looking for someone to just come in, stamp their authority, him and Brendan go way back, and Kasper's quality has not wavered in the past couple of years. He's a top keeper, and he's really brought a real steal to this Celtic team.
Yeah, is he exactly the type of does he have the type of leadership qualities and a voice in the dressing room that you think will be really beneficial in there?
Well, yeah, of course. I know that dressing room. I know it's young. I know it's fresh. It's diverse, you know, boys from all over the world. But with the likes of Callum, you know, Carter Vickers really leading that squad, and the likes of Greg Taylor and Alistair Johnston especially now, Kasper's going to be a huge voice in there, not only with his ability but with his mentality. You heard him talk there, in those couple of minutes, how driven he is and his desire and what he wants to get out of the game of football. It's not just about talent. Talent only gets you so far. It's that kind of mentality and that kind of hunger to succeed will get them moving forward like they want to.
Joe, it's Lenny here. How would Brendan have been, you know, between the defeat in Dortmund and the build-up to this game? How's he sort of revamping and re-energising the squad?
Evening, Lenny. I think first and foremost you have to deal with what happened. You know, good and bad results. There's so much to learn, and as I just talked about there, such a young squad. I think it's important that you address what's gone on, maybe where they could have improved. There were certain things they actually did well that night. They obviously had to take care of things domestically. We've had some international football since, but I think building into tonight, they'll have definitely learnt a lot. There's no doubt they don't want the game to be as open as it was in the first 15 minutes. As well, you know, obviously the Maeda goal was important to get it back to 1-1, but then it felt like it just kind of got away from them, and the rest of the last 50-60 minutes were a bit of a non-event. So I think they'll be a lot tighter. I think they'll be a little bit more pragmatic tonight. Adamida coming in, strong presence up front, not necessarily looking for flick-ons, but holding it up. Hatate playing off him, Nicholas Kuhn, Maeda. I think that's the way they're going to go down tonight.
And you mentioned just there, you know, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Greg Taylor as two players who are such big players for Celtic. They're obviously out injured at the moment, but is the responsibility then on some of the other defenders, the likes of Liam Scales and, of course, Alistair Johnston, to try and help the others through this one? Yeah,
100%. It's a team effort. It's a squad effort. They're going to have to lead tonight. Football moves so quickly, doesn't it? You look at Liam Scales. I remember at the start of last season he was looking to potentially get back on loan to Aberdeen, but really cemented himself, had an excellent season, and there's no getting away from it. He's a first choice centre-half for his club now, a huge club in Celtic, so he'll take that responsibility on. As I say, people like Kasper, Callum McGregor, priceless in this team, but everyone's going to have to shoulder the responsibility, especially when you're in tough games like you are tonight.
There we go, Andy. Joe Hart, absolutely outstanding. Just before you get on to that, thank you very much, James. Lads, sent your podcast to all my friends in Belfast. Get you more boys in it. Thanks, really enjoyed tonight. Hail from Belfast. Thank you very much for that, James, for sharing the podcast. That's great to see. Andy, Joe Hart spoke so well before, after the game, and it's really good to see somebody that's pro-Celtic in the media fighting our corner, because we get these fan dans that are on, like TalkSport and things like that really get tore into Celtic at times, and they would have been raging that we got a point the other night. But it's good to see guys like Joe Hart giving fighting Celtic's corner.
Absolutely, especially a guy that's not steeped in Celtic history. He's certainly part of the club now, part of the Celtic family, and then you've got idiots like Cundy and the other half-wit on TalkSport that just haven't got a clue about Scottish football at all. So ignorant. In fact, I don't even listen to that radio show anymore. I used to listen to it years ago. You
see the clips, don't you? And they're just absolute fannies, man.
Just nonsense, mate. But he's always spoke well. Joe's always been a good talker. So I think it was a natural progression. It was going to get into the media. I think he's done the right thing. I think he's a good addition to any programme he's on. Speaks very well, very intelligent about what's going on in the game, tactical wise and stuff like that. And that's before the game he's talking about it. And he was talking a lot of sense here. Obviously about the team setup and stuff like that. So, and you're getting a pretty recent inside look at the dressing room. He's only just left us, so he's giving you a wee idea of what's going to be said, who's going to be doing what. So, he's good to have. The first time I seen him, I think, was on Match of the Day, and I thought he speaks really well. I think he'll do pretty good.
Yeah, and Paddy, we heard the stuff coming out the dressing room when he was at Celtic, that he was a leader in there. He was a great talker. Brendan spoke very highly of him. So did Ange when Ange was there as well. He's a fantastic addition to the media. And like I said, it's great to have somebody in there that's very pro-Celtic and is going to fight our corner as well for us, pal.
It's great to see, Scott. He's a class act. The guy's just an absolute class act. I said it at the time when he joined us. I know there were some people who were raising eyebrows at it, but I think the guy gets 75 caps for England. And one of the guys that was that people still rave about for us was Fraser Forster. Well, Joe Hart was keeping Fraser Forster out of the England team at the time. So, this is what people need to understand. The guy's just an absolute class act. We've benefited from his experience. Yep, he came in. He probably didn't realise. He admitted that himself, that he didn't realise the size and the stature of the club until he actually got here. But he certainly fell in love with the club and bought into everything. But what I like about him is, and what separates him from some of these other clowns in the media, is he won't let his support and his love for the club cloud his vision. In the way that I know Chris Sutton winds people up, but Chris Sutton, if he has to say something about Celtic, he's not scared to say it either. You've got these other guys, and they're paid to give an opinion, but they can't hide their bigotry. Their bigotry is so strong they can't even give an honest opinion on an incident or a game or whatever. You only have to look at that incident last night from the game last night. These guys are, they're trying to say it was a foul on the goalkeeper. It wasn't a foul on the goalkeeper, but your bias won't allow you to say that. You know what I mean? And this is what I like about Joe Hart and Chris Sutton. That yes, they are pro Celtic, absolutely, but if they have to give an honest opinion about the club, they will give an honest opinion. They're not going to just sit and say something there because they're Celtic men. So he's an ideal candidate for the media. Fantastic. You can just see his knowledge of the game comes through in everything he says. What I liked about him on Wednesday night was, for me, especially before and after the game, he was able to give us he gave us an insight from the point of view of the goalkeeper, which you don't often get. You don't often get that. You get it from the manager and you get it from the striker or whatever, but you very rarely get that from the goalkeeper. And it was very interesting to read his comments or listen to him talking about, what would Casper been thinking there when that guy was going down the left? What's he thinking about there? And that's what I found that really interesting.
Are you reading my notes, Paddy? Because I was just about to come on to that. I think you've been hacking into my laptop, mate, and then seen my notes.
No. It was just really good to see that, just from the goalkeeper. And again, I know from listening to him even before he retired, they work very hard on that, that unit at the back, that goalkeeper and the two centre halves, that wee unit, and that is vital to any defence. Yes, your fullbacks are important in it as well, but it's these three guys in the middle. They're the guys that really make the thing tick, and that's why sometimes whenever we have injury problems and we're chopping and changing it maybe causes wee problems. But it's just lovely to see Joe Hart, talking on the media about the sport that he loves. You can see the guy has such a love of football and a love of the game, and he's keen to give back after having a fantastic career. And he's a welcome addition to the media, absolutely.
Aye, and like I said, Andy, there, Paddy's definitely been reading my notes. It's something I wanted to talk about. His tactical awareness, mate, was outstanding. And how he went into depth about, for example, I think I mentioned it on the post-match, there was a massive gap, wasn't there, between the midfield and Adam Ida that he exploited. He actually exploited that, Schmeichel. And what he did was he side-fitted a few balls just there, right onto Ida's chest. And Ida brought it down, and that started attacks. we see him starting attacks all the time in the SPFL, but that was very clever of him. And Joe Hart highlighted that, and his tactical awareness is outstanding.
He told us exactly why Casper was trying that and what he was thinking there, what the thinking behind it was. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't have a goalkeeper on the panel there, you're not going to get that insight. And it was so you're spot on. That's exactly what he was giving us the insight. So not only telling us why Casper was doing that, but what he was thinking, what the thinking behind it was. And again, you can just see the influence that Alexis Schmeichel has had, on the team as well. That's what we said. Schmeichel, we said that on Wednesday night. Casper Schmeichel could play as a number 6. Absolutely no danger. Sitting there in front of the back four, slot him in there at the back. His passing's that good. He's passing as good as any midfielder. So no, it's just great to see, and it really was refreshing to hear a different view. As I say, I like to hear the one thing I like to hear from pundits is honesty. I like to hear them being honest. And if we need to be absolutely slated, well then slate us. But I don't like pundits blowing smoke up your arse. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about. And this is what I'm saying. Too many of these guys, they just can't put aside their one club bias to give an actual honest opinion on an incident that everybody can see. Well, it's just refreshing to see Joe Hart. So we've got Joe Hart and Chris Sutton now. So we're doing all right. If we could just get somebody else in now, there it'd be somebody in the BBC sports scene we need in there. If we had somebody in there, that'd be what we need.
Maybe you, Paddy. Maybe you, sir. The way you're going, mate. It might be you. So our Paul McFarlane there said Andy's a 4-leaf Clover's Joe Hart. He is. You're right, Paul. So if we ever get invited to 5 or 6-a-side tournaments, what we're going to do is we're going to put Andy in goals, and we're going to have Casper Schmeichel sitting in that Neil Lennon role with the anchor down and just spraying it.
That's the difference, Scotty. You've got Arne Engels, who's 11 million, and you've got Andy in goals, who's about 11 quid.
I can't believe you've done this. You're checking my notes out as well, aren't you? You've actually just set me up perfectly as well for the next segment.
You know what? They're absolutely, the viewers are absolutely bang on too. Paul's exactly right. It was lovely to see Lenny and a big Mjallby too. I like Big Mjallby because he's very honest as well. He's not scared to, if he sees something about Celtic that he doesn't like in the performance, he's not scared to come out and say it. And he's very honest. And again, he was basically saying pre-match about how we needed to line up and exactly what we have said for the last 3 or 4 weeks. You need to give yourself a foothold in the game. You need to go in there. You need to deal with the atmosphere. Atalanta will come at you like they'll throw the kitchen sink at you, but you need to bear in. Don't concede. Don't be chasing the game after 5 minutes, and you need to give yourself a foothold in the game. Allow the atmosphere to calm down, and then you can play your football. So it's lovely to see. It's lovely to see the likes of Mjallby and Lennon as opposed to some of the usual guys that have on these things.
Yeah, and it was good to hear Mjallby saying just get fired right in about them and smash them and things like that.
Absolutely. Take a yellow card. He actually said that. Even don't be scared to take a yellow card if you have to sort of send a message to somebody. If you have to whack somebody, take a yellow card. So it's nice to see from the defensive side of things. It's nice to see how the goalkeeper's thinking about it, how the centre halves are thinking about it. So it's just refreshing to see.
Certainly
Can I just say something, Scotty? It's not on topic, but I just want to say hello to somebody. I'm not going to mention who it is, but a special friend who I know is watching and likes to tune in to watch us. So you'll know who you are. Thanks for watching us.
No problem at all, mate. No problem at all. So Andy mentioned somebody there that we're going to move on to next. It's a guy that's been getting a wee bit of stick recently. Is it deserved? Is it no? It is young Arne Engels, Andy. Brendan Rodgers has came out today and pretty much defended him, which is always good to see as well. And we've got a wee clip for you here, ladies and gentlemen, on Rodgers, what he had to say about Engels. So we'll get that out first, and then we'll have a brief discussion on the criticism that has been put forward about our record signing Arne Engels recently.
There's critics in the game and people have an opinion. You have to respect that. For me, we brought a young player in who's nowhere near the finished article. I think sometimes there's a price around him, and that might feel that you're buying someone who's the finished article. He's not. He came in here as a 20-year-old player who's got great potential, and and it's my job here, along with the staff, to develop that. He's coming from, I said to him, you're coming from playing one game a week, where that's a holiday in my book, to come and play at a big club with big pressure and big expectation, and you'll feel it. And sometimes you'll play and you'll be playing a lot of games, and sometimes you come out to recover. So it's all natural. We had the same with Nicholas Kuhn. We've had probably the same with Callum McGregor over many years. So it's football. And listen, I understand it. People will make a judgment and opinion, but no, I'm so happy he chose to come here. He's shown more than enough in this short period of time that he's going to be a fantastic player for us.
Yeah, Andy, we had a brief discussion about him in the green room before we came on, and you made some fantastic points. So yeah, just get them out, mate. What's your thoughts on Engels' criticism? Deserved or not? And is he a boy that maybe needs a wee stint on the bench at the weekend, and get your Bernardos and your McCowans in, and maybe just give him a wee rest? What's your sort of thoughts on the criticism aimed towards Arne Engels, mate?
Excuse me. I think Brendan's spot on. He's talking about obviously the price on his seat. So you automatically think for us to be paying that kind of money, he's a ready-made superstar, and he isn't. He's a young guy, 20-year-old. Is he 20 or 21?
21 now, mate. 21.
He turned 21 recently. So still a very, very young guy coming to a new country. Experience in the Champions League is new for him. So I think he's a lot of weight is on his shoulders because of the start he had with Celtic. He was very impressive. But look at the opposition. We've been up against. He had a very good game against Bratislava, but I think the whole team did anyway, and they weren't a fantastic team. But then you got the levels. You've got Dortmund and that, and I don't think anybody shined in that game, to be quite honest with you. And again, the other night, it's exhaustion. I mean, he's basically been asked to play a role that he isn't used to. He's especially his time at Celtic, he's expecting to get forward and create chances and score and stuff like that. And it just wasn't the protocol during the week. It wasn't all about that. So you're seeing a different side to him. It's going to take him a bit of time to get that experience, but at £11 million, that's peanuts in the world kind of transfer market. It really is. I mean, it's a lot of money for us, but overall, and Paddy mentioned it earlier, it's these teams are spending 100 million on one player, so I think he will come good. We definitely, we've seen it already. We've seen his quality. Whether he comes out the team or no, I don't think it'll be done his performances, because Brendan's going to back him anyway. But I generally think that he doesn't think bad of him. That he does really like him as a player. Obviously, he wanted him in, but if he does get dropped, I think it's going to be down to fitness, mate, and just giving him his legs a wee rest, because we've got players to come in that can take that place, So why not use them? I mean, this is what we were talking about, to get quality into the squad, get rid of the dead wood, guys that can come in and take care of the players. So if they are needing a rest, give them a rest. I mean, you're going to have to use your squad anyway. So I like him as a player. I think he's still got a bit of learning today, but the signs are very good.
Aye, Paddy, I think his start at Celtic has been a detriment to him, because he got after such a fantastic start. I think that's the big issue that everybody's got. When he first came to Celtic, he was scoring their goals. He was grabbing every ball, every free kick, every corner. Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And as Andy said, it's not really happened for him in the past 2 Champions League games. But look at the standard of the opposition. This is a young boy, as Brendan Rodgers said, who's coming for playing once a week at that German team he was at. Mate, you need to win every game. You're playing in the Champions League now. A draw's not good enough at Celtic. This boy has came for this, straight into the Belgian setup as well, and stuff like that. It's been a whirlwind for this boy to come to such a massive club. And what's your own thoughts on the criticism the boys been getting? Is it justified or is it not?
Do you know what, Scott? You know, you can look at the performances and judge him on the performances solely on that. You know, and there has been a couple of games there where his form has dipped considerably, considering what he started off. But listen, the guy has come. He's come from another country. He's only 20, 21 years of age. You know, this is where I think sometimes people, you know, even last year, if you look at Nicholas Kuhn, I'll use Kuhn and Liam Scales as the two examples last year. People jumped in with both feet and judged these guys after whatever, and now look at them. You know what I mean? You have to give these guys time. The young fella he's only making his way. After the move, all the razzmatazz of deadline day, the whole lot, that was all. He was going to come in on a high. He was going to come in on nothing else other than a high. It happened for him. It was a dream move, you know. So he came in and he was probably flying on adrenaline those first couple of games, and he was outstanding in the games that we saw. The Bratislava game and the Hearts game, fantastic. You've got a glimpse. As I say, you know, the criticism is one thing, but if the guy hadn't produced, but he has produced, we can see what he can produce. For whatever reason, he's just had a bit of a drop off. It could be just something that he's dealing with. You know, as I say, these guys need to find somewhere to live. You know, they have to maybe get their family over, whatever. They maybe have to go back there, pick stuff up, whatever. They're human beings. They're not robots. You know, and you need to give them time to get sorted. Again, probably the performances that we're talking about. You know, Dortmund. You know, there was not a single player that night, but it seems to be Hatate and Engels took the most stick of anybody, but there was nobody covered themselves in glory. But listen, I've said it before, this guy has everything. He has all the attributes. You don't get called into the Belgian squad to play alongside boys like Kevin De Bruyne if you're not a good player. This guy has everything. I think we just need to cut him a wee bit of slack, and there's no better man to look after this guy than Brendan Rodgers. Brendan is first and foremost, he's a development coach. That's what his forte is. He loves nothing better than getting a young guy on the training pitch and being able to develop him. And again, there's no player, very few players that we would say are the finished article. There's still we still have room for development from Alistair Johnson. There's plenty of room for development from Liam Scales. There's other players still to give us a bit more as well. And Arne Engels falls into exactly that category. And at the minute, there's no better man to be his manager than Brendan Rodgers. Brendan will know exactly whether to give him a rest. As I say, it's not only a physical thing, but it's also a mental thing. There's a mental thing as well. You can be mentally exhausted as well. And to me, it's not a surprise. I've seen it before. You know, the guy came in, as I say, on a blaze of glory, deadline day move, all the rest of it. You know, and there's obviously going to be a wee drop off there. The other thing, as Brendan has exactly said that, you know, big difference. Augsburg, with all due respect, you know, probably, as I said the other night, probably the Kilmarnock or the Motherwell or the St. Johnstone of the Bundesliga. You know what I mean? So again, not only one game a week, but the expectation levels there. You know, there's no, you know, Augsburg are going in to play Bayern Munich or going in to play Dortmund. Their fans are not expecting them to win that game. So he's come from a team there with very little expectation there. Yes, they've probably punched above their weight in Germany a wee bit, but there's the level of expectation there and the need to win every game. And if you lose a game or draw two games, it's a crisis. You don't get that at clubs like Augsburg. So it's been a learning curve for the guy, you know. But as I say, he's only 21. You know, we need to cut the guy a bit of slack. What I've seen of him so far, and I did quite a bit of research when we were talking about signing him, and that's when I thought, this is the guy I want to get. This guy has everything. This guy can potentially go to the top. And as I say, we have got ourselves an absolute cracking player, and I have absolutely no doubt in the next couple of years, 11 million will seem like a snip when we're talking about this guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's much negativity going on at Celtic at the minute. And I think they're just picking on this boy. You know, he came with the massive price tag and things like that. And he's an easy target with the Scottish media. You know, we see that they do jump onto things like this. And there isn't any negativity about Celtic. We're flying in the Champions League. We're flying in the league. We're flying, you know, commercially. We're flying with everything at the minute. And I think they've just picked this boy out to have a go at him and leave him alone. Leave him alone, you bams. Let's move on, gentlemen, to their next game. Their next game, Andy, is Motherwell on Sunday at Fir Park with a 3 p.m. kickoff. So we will discuss Arne Engels and a few others. Before we do that, let's have a quick look at the SPFL table. Celtic are topping it after 8 games on 22 points, and our opponents, Motherwell, are sitting in 5th. And they're fighting over that 3rd place spot along with Dundee United and the team that shall not be mentioned. So those 3 are miles away from us, all fighting for 3rd place. Andy, going to be a tough wee game. It has been in the past. Last season, I remember Matt O'Reilly got that goal in the 96th minute, I think it was, 97th minute, when Motherwell had actually equalised in injury time.
That's the one I missed, isn't it?
Aye, you missed the goal. You were sitting where you are now, and I'm jumping up and down like a maniac. You're here in Spain. Going to be a difficult game, mate. They've got the young superstar as well, and Lennon Miller, who we might see at Celtic one day as well. Going to be a difficult game, mate. How do you see it going? And give us your starting lineup. Looks like AJ might be struggling. You know, he was hobbling towards the end. Maeda been running himself into the ground. Kuhn, could we see Palmer? Could we see a Forrest? Do you see Maeda coming in for Ida? Do you see Taylor coming back in for Valle? I think there's talk of him coming back as well. Or has the young lad done enough to keep that left back berth? Give us your thoughts on the team and the guy we just spoke about earlier there as well. Arne Engels, do you see a McCowan or a Bernardo coming in? Give us your thoughts on Motherwell and give us your starting 11, mate.
Well, firstly on Motherwell, it can be a hard place to go at times. I actually didn't think they had a great start to the season, but actually looked up on them. They've won 6, lost 3 and drew 1, so they've not been too bad. I know they lost against Dundee in the last game, but they're actually not as bad as what I thought they were. And then obviously shown as a table earlier in 5th place, so fighting for 3rd against Dundee United and some other wee Diddy team. So fingers crossed they can crawl up the league a wee bit. But certainly not against us. They'll not be getting anything. I just don't see anything other than a Celtic victory. I think when it comes to the team, I just don't know. I know it was a hard shift to put in. And I during the week there, mate. So it makes sense to give them a break, but I don't know if I can see wholesale changes. Maybe the odd one here and there, but I think they need it. What I would like to see is Bernardo and McCowan getting a game. I'd like to see the 2 of them getting a game.
Yeah.
Kyogo back up front. I would go with him. I would start with him. Ralston, I think, is going to come in for AJ.
Yeah.
I can see Palmer coming in for Maeda. Give him a break. He said that long travelling to Japan and then obviously a hard shift during the week. And Forrest coming in for Kuhn. Give him a wee break. I know. You know what you get with Forrest. I think Palmer's a bit of an oddity because you think you know what you're getting off him and then he's just not consistent enough. That has been his problem, among other issues that we can get into if you want. Obviously about his distribution, release of the ball, decision making at times. But he looked as if he'd done no bad the other night. He had a good performance against. This is the Palmer I'm talking about. A good performance against Sligo Rovers. And I know it was a friendly, but you know this is a guy that we hadn't seen for a long time and was way out the picture. So maybe he's screwed up attitude-wise. Keep off of social media, keep off all that stuff, and just get down and do your job. And we know he's a very talented player. And this, if he does get the opportunity, grasp it with both hands and do what you can to try and keep your jersey. Show what you can do. That's what I'd like to see. Whether Brendan is thinking the same, I don't know. Maybe he's thinking, I don't want to change it too much and then get caught out, you know. But I think even with the players, if you want to bring them in, they're good enough to win that game.
Yeah, and Andy brings up a great point there about wholesale changes. We've seen it against Falkirk. It didn't work, did it? The boys that came in, they didn't really hit the ground running and grab the jersey off the guys that are in that position at the minute. But on Wednesday night, we've seen a different take on that altogether. I think the guys that came in, we touched on it earlier, were absolutely outstanding. Every one of them, to a man that came on, were brilliant. And I think this is the sort of game where you would trust the players to come in and start the game. Andy's just mentioned there could be up to 4 or 5 changes to that team on Wednesday night because they were absolutely shattered, mate. You've also got Carter Vickers who could be back. You've got Taylor. Brendan Rodgers did say he would be back after the Atalanta game. So is your Taylors, is your Carter Vickers going to come straight back into the team? They are first team players. Are they going to come straight back in? Is Engels going to get rested? Is Hatate going to get rested? Maeda, Kuhn, who were shattered as well. And is Ida going to come off and young Kyogo come back in and take his spot? Lots of changes could happen. Paddy, how do you see Brendan lining up against Motherwell, and how do you see them as our opposition on Sunday?
You know what, Scott? It's a very tough place to go. It always is. You always get a game there. They make it difficult for you. Big, strong team, fairly tight pitch. The fans on top of you, stuff. You know, it's a difficult venue to go. The one thing I will say, it's always, since they got their pitch sorted, it's a good surface up there. So there's no reason why we can't play good football. I think this one might be different in that, you know, Andy and me talked about it on Wednesday night. We said that, you know, maybe they're, you know, he might want to give them a rest, but you know, they could be flying. They could be flying out of the traps after what happened on Wednesday night. That's the thing, and I think that's what Brendan's going to have to take into consideration. Yes, they're going to be tired. Of course they are. They expend a lot of energy chasing on Wednesday night, but you know, that result is going to give them such a lift and such a boost. You know, maybe he just says, you know what, let's ride this and see how it goes. But I honestly think there will be a couple of changes. I think probably looking at it, probably on Johnson will probably be enforced. He probably picked up a wee knock there towards the end. So again, he's going to have to the games that we have coming up. We are now in a busy spell where we're going to be back playing more or less Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever, you know, for the next few weeks. So he's going to have to look at that. But I can't see it being wholesale changes. I just can't see that. I can see maybe a couple of changes. He will probably have to make a change there with Johnson. Again, big Carter Vickers is going to need a few minutes in the legs as well. He's going to need to get a few, you know, again, Greg Taylor's been out now for a couple of weeks. He's going to need to run as well, you know, so it's just a question of whether they start them or they bring them on as subs or whatever. But I certainly don't see wholesale changes. Again, maybe just horses for courses again. Kyogo, he might opt for Ida. Motherwell are a big physical team as well, so he may opt for Ida up front. But as I say, I think that's what he'll be thinking about. I think he will be considering, you know, maybe these guys, the result on Wednesday night has left them flying high, and maybe we should just run with that. But there are a few players that were starting to show signs that they were sort of flagging a wee bit, Maeda being one of them. So I would certainly look at maybe freshening things up, you know, with Dice and Maeda. Maybe start them on the bench, you know, and give somebody a run, Forrest or Palmer or whoever. But I don't think after Falkirk, I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. There might be 2 or 3, but the one that for me is the same for a lot of people. Luke McCown is absolutely knocking on the door. The guy has done fantastic. Anytime he's come on, you know, he looks as though he's really up for it. He just looks as though he's living the dream. So the wee guy's been doing absolutely everything. They can't do any more. So, you know, maybe this will be the one that, you know, maybe for Hatate, maybe give him a wee run out or whatever from the start. He's certainly been pushing hard, you know. So no, I don't think there'll be wholesale changes, Scotty. But I can see him maybe going with 1 or 2. But I don't think he'll go with wholesale changes.
Aye, it's an interesting debate, this one, because the players are shattered for Wednesday night.
What do you think?
Aye, that's what I was just getting on to there. I kind of agree with Patrick. I think the 2 definite changes will be Johnston out, Ralston in, and Kyogo in for Ida. I think they 2 are nailed on. I think Carter Vickers and Taylor will make the bench. I don't think they'll start. I don't think it's worth risking Carter Vickers in this game, and especially after the performance the 2 boys put in the centre of defence on Wednesday night. I don't think any of the 2 of them deserve to lose their place. I don't think Valle deserved to lose his place either. I think the boy's been brilliant since he's came in. I think the contract situation now with Greg Taylor's maybe going to bite him on the arse a wee bit now. I think I think Brendan Rodgers was very clever with his photographs with Kieran Tierney at the Celtic FC Foundation night in London. So that might give Greg Taylor a wee bit of oomph to get the contract signed. Or if you're not going to sign it, is Brendan Rodgers going to play him? Because this boy certainly came in, and Valle, he looks a very good player now. Was very concerned on his first game against Falkirk. I thought he looked lightweight. He was getting pushed off the ball. He was getting caught on the ball. I was like, Jesus Christ, what have we signed here? But the boy looks, he's came in and grabbed that jersey now. So it's going to be difficult for Taylor to get that, especially if he doesn't sign that contract. Moving to the midfield, I'm with you guys. I'd love to see McCowan and Bernardo get a game. Whether the two of them are going to start, I think Bernardo's ahead of McCowan in the pecking order. So probably likely to see Bernardo in for Hatate, if anything. But did Brendan Rodgers hint at Engels getting dropped in that little segment we heard earlier on? Is maybe 2 games a week catching up with the boy, and McCowan might come in for him as well. So it's interesting, very interesting. And on the wings as well. Geez, you wouldn't grudge Palmer and Forrest coming in as well. So it's an interesting lineup on Sunday for sure. It's going to be, but I'm with you, Paddy. I don't think there's going to be wholesale changes, but I think there'll be definitely 3: Ralston, Kyogo, and I think Bernardo in for Hatate. That would be my 3 definite changes for Sunday. So Andy,
can I just comment on this comment now? John Shirley. Yeah. I actually don't know what he's talking about, but nobody's blocking any comments coming up. Unfortunately, we can't put every single comment that comes up on the screen because we're busy talking about stuff and that, and it might not be relevant to what we're talking about. It's not against you. It's just plus we're concentrating on what we're doing. We try and get as many comments up as we can because we do appreciate everybody. So it's absolutely nothing personal. Okay, John, I hope that answers your question.
Aye, no bother, man. That's fine. And just one thing I wanted to mention before we go on and give our predictions for the score as well is I've seen a lot of new names in the comments tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot of people watching us at the minute as well. We're getting massive views recently on all of our podcasts. We're at 100% record for subscribers to viewers at the minute. And on Wednesday night, we hit nearly treble the views to subscribers. So nearly 2,000 views, and we're sitting at 700 subscribers. So there's people watching us that haven't hit that subscribe button, Andy. And we spoke about analytics the other night. It's great to see all these new faces. If this is your first time watching us, please like, share and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your pals. It's great to see all these new names, Andy, innit?
It's brilliant, mate. And every time somebody subscribes, Paddy's got to sing a song. So get your song list out to see what song you want to. I think we'll pick random every time we get another 100 subs. We'll pick somebody out to get a song for Paddy to sing because he keeps promising us that he's got this great voice, but he never actually comes out and starts singing. So we're going to hold you to that, Paddy.
Oh, that's it.
But it's great. It's great. Honestly, I think it's been fantastic.
Brilliant.
As people know, they know us for previous podcast, and we're starting ourselves. So we're basically starting from scratch. And obviously the inclusion Paddy and Jerry and Davey, and we're hopefully going to get some other people in to help us out as well, mix it up a wee bit, give us a bit of different content so it's not the same faces all the time, but we intend to give the same, well, what we think is good content, hopefully you do as well. And if you like it, then press the like button. No pressure at all, it's absolutely free, but it only takes a wee second just to press the subscribe, and it really helps us on our way. So we very, very much, you have no idea how much we appreciate it, because we do this for fun. This is it's not a job, we've all got jobs, but it's a release for us. It's well, personally, I can only talk for me personally, but it's like therapy almost. If you're no one talking about Celtic, it builds up inside you, and you end up, you've got to talk to the wife, and nobody wants to do that.
Aye,
sorry, Sarah. I'm scared now because again she battles me.
Paddy, Andy has actually set me up perfectly there. Now, one of the things he mentioned is we are looking to expand on the contributors that we do have on the podcast. Now, one of the guys that we managed to recruit, and unbelievably we got him on a free transfer, is our Paddy down the bottom there, as you can see. Now, we're looking to bring in 2 new contributors if possible, because we're looking to, do other nights on the podcast and bring in younger faces. And that's no slagging off MD on this panel, because we've had a look at the analytics, and most of the viewers that we get are between the sort of 30 to 50-year-old bracket, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what we've noticed is there's a wee gap in the market for the 18 to 30s. We want to try and pull some of the younger ones in, and they don't want to sit and look at us old farts. So what we're looking at doing is bringing in a young man and a young lady, if possible. So if anybody knows of any Celtic-minded young men or young ladies between the ages of sort of 18 and 30 that want to get into the media world, would be good on a podcast, can speak well, then let us know. You can get us all on social media. We're all on there. Contact us and let us know. And hopefully we can get a couple of new contributors on. So, Paddy, I just want to come to you about this, because you were in that boat yourself, mate, weren't you? We reached out on social media, myself and Andy, gave you like a little video interview, and myself and Andy straight away could tell that you were the man for the job.
Exactly, and that's it. It's just an absolute pleasure to be part of it. As Andy said, there's nothing better than sitting talking about Celtic, and that's all we do. And we try to all we're trying to do is give an honest opinion. We're not trying to be controversial, or we're not trying to talk rubbish or whatever. We're just trying to give an honest opinion on what we see is happening with the club, whether it be games or players or whatever. We're just trying to give it an honest, valid opinion. So no, it's an absolute pleasure for me to be part of it, and it's just so good to see the numbers just steadily increasing the way they're doing. And just thank you so much to everybody who's supported us so far. People are reaching out on various means. We're now even being, I'm bumping into guys in the shopping centres who are actually recognising us from the podcast. So that's just unbelievable. So it's just great to see. It's brilliant. We really enjoy doing what we're doing. And we try our best to try to provide you with as much, content as we can. Hopefully you're all enjoying it. It's certainly good for us as well. It's our favourite subject. Yeah, and to be able to take part in this podcast and talk about Celtic, which is my favourite subject, it's just an absolute pleasure. Scotty and Andy make it easy for myself and Jerry. They make it easy for us. The work they do behind the scenes, they just make it easy for us to be able to do what we do. So, listen, if there's anybody else who wants to join us, you'd be more than welcome. We're always on the lookout for different ideas, different thinking processes and stuff. So anybody who's enjoying the pod, who's enjoying what we do, and you think you might want to have a go at it, just get in touch, because you'll not regret it.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And like I said, that this is how Paddy got on this podcast. He just reached out to us, had a quick video with him, and here he is, and you're getting a fantastic knowledge from the man himself, and our Jerry and our Davey. So, Andy, let's move on to your predictions then for Sunday's game. How do you see it going? Give us your score prediction, my good man.
I'm going to go with 3-0 Celtic. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for... Who's going to score? I think Kyogo will play, so I'll go for a Kyogo goal. Calmac, Kyogo, and Bernardo.
Oh, Paddy, he's nicked your scoreline, mate. I don't believe it.
He has. I'm going to go one better. I'm going to go for 4-0. I'll go for a nice, comfortable 4-0. 2 in the first, 2 in the second. And a nice, comfortable afternoon back up the road again. 3 points. and then we can move on to the next game. So I'll go for, let me see, goal scores. I'll go for Nicholas Kuhn. I think he's flying high. I'll go for Kuhn to score. Kyogo to get a couple. And I'm going to go for Luke McCown to come on and get his goal. Get a wee goal. That'll be nice to see. So I'll go 4-0 and those goal scores.
3-0 and 4-0. Jeez,
What about you?
Aye, that'd be fantastic. I'm going to go for Motherwell 1, Celtic 3. I think I'm going to go for. I think there'll be a few tired legs after Wednesday night, and I don't think they'll be fully. I hope they are, but I think the tiredness is going to catch up with us a wee bit during the game at points, concentration wise, and stuff like that. So I'm going to go for 3-1 to Celtic. Hopefully, just the 3 points, lads, after that exhausting game on Wednesday night. That is us, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to give you a wee hour. We're at an hour and 15 minutes as it stands for our Friday Focus show. We will be back on Sunday for the post-match, straight after the victory against Motherwell on Sunday. We will see you then. Thank you so much, like I said earlier, to all the new names and faces and stuff like that we're seeing in the comments. It's great to see all the new people. Please like, share and subscribe. Tell your pals. And we will see you on Sunday. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
One out.